100 for 100, the podcast where for all you new movie watchers out there, if you think about really getting your fingers dirty in some movies, I compiled a list of 100 movies I think every new movie watcher should watch at least once throughout their movie watching lifetime. And I compiled them bad boys and racked and stacked them. I ranked them, made a list from 100 to 1. Why did I do that? I don't know. It's because I love being called names on Twitter. And each one of these movies is accompanied by a 100-word review. That's why this show is called 100 for 100. You're picking up what I'm putting down. If this is your first one, I'm not sure why you're starting with number 79. Go back and listen to the other ones first. But yeah, that's what's going on here. It's me, your boy, Seat, the host of this bit of business. Yesterday, we talked about The Incredibles, and we're putting these out one a day, by the way, the first 100 days of 2020. We talked about The Incredibles yesterday, directed by Brad Bird, our second animated joint. I do believe Toy Story was first. Memory serves. Yeah. Toy Story was first. Incredibles yesterday. If you have not checked out The Incredibles in quite some time, go do yourself a favor. Good voice work by Jason Lee. But we talked about all that yesterday. Today, we're here to talk about number 79. Number 79 is Menace to Society, directed by a pair of brothers, Alan and Albert Hughes. They will not be the only pair of brothers directing films that will be on this list, but they are the first. I do believe this is their freshman effort, Menace to Society. It definitely is a movie. Before we get into that, let's get into this 100-word review of Menace to Society, and here we go. Released towards the end of a run of films that focused on the hardscrabble life in urban California, Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, South Central, Menace to Society may both be the most raw and most problematic. Though the film does an admirable job of establishing the atmosphere, at times the portrayal of the characters involved border on the trite and stereotypical. Still, the frustrating and yet all too realistic lack of progression of Lorenz Tate's O-Dog is counterbalanced by Kane's eventual push to better his circumstances. Menace to Society should be required viewing in every rural high school. Full disclosure, I'm not the hugest fan of Menace to Society, but I put it on the list because I think it is a movie that needs to be seen. It does compare, it is very congruent with the rest of those other movies I mentioned, the life in urban California, that Boys in the Hood, the Poetic Justice, South Central, and Menace to Society. They all came out round about the same time. They're all like 89, 91, 92, somewhere up in there. 93 maybe a little bit. Yeah, this is 93. I think Boys in the Hood's like 91. I think South Central's like 92. So we had a nice little string for a couple of years in the early 90s where they were just telling raw, gritty stories. And this was one of the ones towards the end of them. And this is also one of the ones that was mostly lampooned by Don't Be Miss South Central while drinking juice in the hood from the Wayans brothers. They pull a lot from this movie as well. I just, like I said in my review, I find this film a little bit problematic at times. The way a lot of the characters are portrayed, while it is realistic, I will say that, I do believe it is also a little bit reckless. I think there is a certain portion of this country that sees characters or caricatures like this, and they kind of impress that upon all African Americans. I think this is one of the more, I'm not going to say negative, impactful ones, but it's one of them like, Jesus, guys, we got to ease up on this a little bit. I think this, and this is also during a time, the 90s, 93. So you're looking at the Rodney King riots. The LA riots were happening around this time as well, if memory serves. And I think Watts had been a little bit before that as well. Yeah, it's still a movie that should be seen at least once by everybody, because there is a lot of realism in here. These are hard, impactful stories. Like hip-hop, and there's a lot of hip-hop in all these joints, and the original purpose of hip-hop was to report. They're reporting live from the hood, the things that they experienced. They brought it to a part of the country or the world, really, that they didn't know life like that existed. These movies do the same thing. For this one, I don't know. This one just rubs me the wrong way for some reason, but that does not mean it is not worth a watch. If you've never seen Menace to Society, make a day out of it, man. Queue yourself up a little bit of time, sit down and watch at least Boys in the Hood, South Central, and Menace to Society. Check those bad boys out. Also, check out Bad Boys, I guess. But that's it. That is it for number 79's Menace to Society. We will be back tomorrow. Until then, take it easy.